In order for two figures to be similar to each other, there's two things we need to check for. The first thing that we need to check is all the angles, and we need to make sure all the angles are congruent to each other. Even though the figures themselves are not congruent, the angles in them are. And so in these two figures that I can see that yes, all four sets of angles are congruent. I can tell that because of the tick marks. So, so far so good. If we said no, if we noticed that two of the angles didn't match up, we could just stop there and say no, those figures are not going to be similar to each other. The second step is a little more involved. The second step is going to have us checking to see, is there a common ratio or is there the same scale factor between all pairs of corresponding sides? So in this case, because there's four sides to match up, we'll need to check four proportions. And so to do this, let's just start here. I can see that this side, FG, would match up to this side, ZY over here. I can tell that because they're in the same position. I could also tell that based on the tick marks. And so let's set up the ratio 20 over 25. Now, because I chose the smaller number to go on top, I need to make sure that I'm consistent and always put the smaller number on top. That ratio needs to be simplified. And I can see that that simplifies to 4/5. It's not enough just to do one side. You've got to do all corresponding sides and make sure they all have that same scale factor, that same ratio. So let's do the bottom side next. I'm going to match up 24 over 30. And once again, simplifying that, I can see that that does again simplify to 4/5. So far so good. Let's try the other two sides. And maybe this would be a great time to pause the video and try these next two on your own. Otherwise, you can watch me do it. I'm going to match up this right side to this right side over here. So 12 over 15. Once again, good news, 12 over 15 also simplifies to 4/5. I need to make sure I do all the sides. You know, the one time you don't check all of them is going to be the one time that third side does not match up, or that fourth side doesn't match up. So let's check them all. So let's do the top side. We'll do that one in orange. I'm going to match up 16 and 20, and once again, just see if that simplifies to the same thing. And yes, 16 over 20 also simplifies to 4/5. So I can conclude then that yes, there is a common ratio between all the sides, and in fact, I can now conclude that yes, these two these two quadrilaterals are similar to each other. I got two yeses. So two yeses is what it takes to be similar. Well, it looks like back in the directions there was one more thing to do. If they are similar, which they are, they want us to write a similarity statement. So let's do that. Let's call the first figure, I'm going to go F, G, H, J. You've got to trace it around in order. You don't have to go in the order I did, but you can't like skip around. You can't go F, G, J, H, that would go diagonally across it, is similar to, remember your symbol for similar is that squiggle. Make sure you match things up that correspond. Since I started with F, I've got to start with Z and then go in the same order around the second figure. So ZY, X, W will be my finished similarity statement. There was one more thing to do, and that was to find the scale factor. The good news is we don't have any more work to do. The scale factor is written all over this screen. The scale factor is also known as the common ratio, and hopefully you recall that that common ratio was 4/5. The smaller figure is 4/5 the size of the bigger, similar figure.